My name is Rosie, and I'm an alcoholic, and I serve as the District Accessibilities Committee Chair. It's my honor and privilege to chair this meeting tonight. And just to give you a little bit about accessibility, a little info, accessibility challenges apply to all alcoholics who have difficulties participating in AA, whether those are mental, physical, geographic, cultural, or other factors that vary among people. Some alcoholics may experience barriers to accessing the AA message, including the literature meetings, 12-step work, and the service structure. Whatever the access barrier may be, the goal of our committee is to find solutions to help ensure every alcoholic can participate in AA meetings, 12-step work, and AA service. So the committee is providing this meeting by extending the hand of AA to older alcoholics to offer hope to the population that is all too frequently isolated and fearful, especially now. The support and recovery that the Fellowship of AA offers can be the doorway to a new life, regardless of one's age. So this meeting will be held every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Central Time. Let's have a moment of silence and follow that with the Serenity Prayer. God, I offer my, third step. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Amen. The AA Preamble, Alcoholics Anonymous, is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. Sorry about the dogs. They're a little upset because I got them in their crates. Tonight, I've asked a friend, John E., to share with us his experience, strength, and hope the first half of the meeting, and then we will open up the meeting and we'll share in the second half of the meeting. Remember, the lack of profanity offends no one. John, take it away.
Good evening, everybody. I am John Ellis. I am an alcoholic. And by the grace of God, I've entered these rooms, and I've been here since September 6th is my new sobriety date, so which makes me a newcomer. But my life, my journey in the world started in May 19th, 1956. I was born into a loving Italian family on my mother's side. My mother was born in Naples, Italy. My father was born in Jamaica Hospital, Jamaica, New York. Huntington, Long Island is my birthplace. I was raised a Catholic, which I attended 4th and 5th grade Catholic school. Father was in the military, National Guard in New York. He owned a trash business in Long Island, and pretty much he was a hard worker, my father was, but he was a heavy drinker. And he was a ladies' man, put it to you that way. He used to take us to the yard when we were kids and lock us in the damn gate. And he would go across the street to Tom's Pub and drink and come out with ladies hanging on him, kissing on him. And I watched that for years. My mother didn't like it. She knew about it, so there was a lot of fights in the house. Me and my brother would sit up on the stairs, and when they would both argue, my brother would pantomime my mom while she was yelling, and I would do my dad, and we would point and yell, and we just had this little game we played about when Dad was drunk. When Dad get mad, he would just he loved to rip the phone out of the wall. That was his favorite thing to do. But his infidelity and his womanizing and drinking really escalated probably about 65. I was 9 years old. And my mother packed us up and we went and lived with her grandfather. He never hit my mother. My mother hit him a lot. She poured a lot of booze down the thing, but I always took a little sip. I was young. I liked the way it tasted. He drank that Southern Comfort and all kinds of different whiskeys. I guess, and I've had a lot of infidelity in my life, and I observed it my whole childhood with my father. He had girlfriends. I remember going to restaurants and some girl would come up and say something sweet to my dad, and my mother would follow her into the bathroom and just put a whipping on her. And it was always something like that. Another time, my mother drove her Cadillac right through a bar window, because my dad was in there. So I was around all that alcohol abuse my whole life. On the Italian side of the family, you know what it is. It was just nothing but a loving family, a lot of wine, a lot of stuff. In fact, my grandfather I think he invented the first wine cooler because he put a half a glass of wine in there and then he poured the rest with 7-Up. And it would just knock us out, so we'd go to sleep. My father was in the trash business, like I said. He sold his business in 66, and we loaded up in a brand new Coupe de Ville 67 Cadillac, 67 it was, and we drove from Long Island, New York to San Diego, California. It was a big, big culture shock for me and my brother. Now, I have two brothers, Andre and Michael. Andre's a 10-year gap. We left him back in New York with Grandma. My dad started a trash business in San Diego. As I went through my 6th grade of elementary school, when I finished, I didn't want to go back to Catholic school. I didn't like those nuns. Those nuns were mean to me, and I was mean to them. Being a dedicated church-going Catholic that my mother was, then we were in for shock. My mother dropped out of the Catholic Church and became a Jehovah's Witness over time, in which, we're going to do what we're told. So we went right to work on Wednesdays Bible studies and learned the Bible inside and out. They took my Christmas away, my birthday away. There was no more holidays that were celebrated in the house. But I got to say, my family was a little upper middle class, and we had everything we needed. I had the best childhood. My father was an outgoing guy. He loved to take us to Pismo Beach with dune buggies. We've been to Yosemite National Park many times. We've been down all the way to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. He was an adventure man. But he loved the ladies, and he loved his booze. As I got older through high school, I discovered marijuana when I was 16. And I had my first drink at 16. I just needed a quart of beer. That's all I needed, and I was on my way. And that went on for years. As soon as I graduated high school, I was really big in high school. So I was a good soccer player, and I was a good surfer and a snow skier. We went up and down up to the Big Bear Mountain up there outside of LA. And I really wanted to be a professional ski racer, in which my parents sent me to Mount Hood, Oregon, my senior year, where I could learn to do a lot of the fancy stuff and race and mogul skiing and freestyle skiing. When I was in the mountains, it seemed like I got away a little bit from the drinking, because I had to be disciplined on all the sports things I was doing. And I played soccer in the summer. I had a wild hair after working for my father for years. I drove a trash truck downtown San Diego, and I was educated pretty much on all the bad things down in San Diego. Back in the 70s, San Diego's a big Navy town, so every time the big ships would come into town, there'd be a sea of white down there. And I was down there at 4 o'clock in the morning throwing trash cans. It was nothing but prostitutes, massage parlors, a lot of drinking and fighting going on. It was pretty entertaining, and I participated in a lot of that stuff. But I wanted to get out of there, and I wanted to move to the mountains. So I packed up in '76, and I moved to Lake Tahoe. And I got real serious about my skiing, and I started racing, and I was pretty darn good at it. I lived up there for 3-4 years. On my 4th year up there, I was competing in moguls, freestyle. I took 17th out of about 50 people in all Lake Tahoe back in 1980. And then I met a girl named Annie. She was a ski host, and she kind of took a lot of celebrities around the mountain and stuff like that. Well, we got hooked up together, and we were just a little match made in heaven. And then I got on ski patrol, and 1980-81 season was beautiful. And then I discovered cocaine. And I was off to the races. And my ski career was going right down the tubes. I didn't want to be a ski racer no more. I didn't want to pursue it anymore. I had a couple of good falls and wrecks. Me and Annie, we hooked up and we moved to San Diego, back down there. Biggest mistake I made. We got down there, and the drinking and the drugging just kept running its course. Fast forward, I was looking, trying all the time to stay. I didn't have the money for cocaine. I mean, I was just working in the deli. My parents owned it. I worked for my parents for a long time. My mother had a catering business in San Diego, so I worked for her, worked for my dad. Eventually, me and Annie, we split up, but we had a little girl, a 2-year-old little girl. Her name is Michelle, and I got I started stealing money from my parents because, you know, they had money. I started stealing. I didn't want to work anymore, and I didn't know what to do with my life. So what did I do? I wanted to make everybody proud, so I joined the Army. I was 24 years old, and I joined the Army. And next thing I know, I was in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, doing push-ups, saying, "What in the hell did I get myself into?" But when I signed up for my contract, I wanted to be an Army Ranger. So after I finished basic training in EIT, I went to airborne school in Fort Benning, Georgia. And I went to Ranger school. And 3 weeks into training, I pulled a ligament in my right knee, and I got washed out. I couldn't complete it. So they sent me to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, which I was attached to the 82nd Airborne, and the drinking really kicked into gear. No more drugging. I'm in the military now, no more drugging. But boy, I never forgot it. 60 Minutes came to Fort Bragg one time, and Ed Bradley, I think you remember him, he was a black guy that worked on 60 Minutes, and he came there and he said, "Here we are at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, home of the U.S. Army Airborne and home of the most physically fit alcoholics in the world. They sold more alcohol in one little store on Smoke Bomb Hill than anywhere in the United States in one weekend." And that's the way it was. We worked out, we trained, we jumped out of planes, and then we had to go down for a little conflict with Mr. Noriega down in Panama. So that was the first time I got shot at. And I was down in Panama, and we were eating lunch. I never forgot it. And pretty much the little war zone was over, and we were packing up to head back to North Carolina. And my buddy said, "Hey, did you hear that?" I said, "No." Sounded like somebody shooting at us. And somebody pulled up in like a taxi cab and fired a rocket. Next thing you know, the windows were blowing out. We were all on the ground there shooting our guns, and we didn't even know what we were doing. We were scared to death. And but you know, we returned fire, but then ended quickly. Fast forward back to Fort Bragg. I come on orders for Germany. Wow. Now, I thought I knew how to drink beer. until I got shipped to Germany. And that was on that. Me and Annie had divorced, so I was a single parent with Michelle, and I got shipped to Germany, and I was in the 268 Armor, and the first Gulf War was starting to kick into gear. And when I checked in there and I got into housing, there was this really pretty blonde-headed nurse was taking my medical records, and she said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from California." That's bad. I said, "Where are you from?" She goes, "I'm from Texas." I said, "What part of Texas?" She says, "The only place to live, East Texas." Well, she was a single parent too. But off I went to the first Gulf War with Schwarzkopf, and sobered up there. There was no alcohol allowed, except if you want to hang out with the Australians. They said they weren't going to no war without their beer, so I would hang around with them. I got back to Germany. I got pretty hot and heavy with Miss Stacy Ellis, which is my wife today. And we joined forces. You know, I was a single parent, she was a single parent. And she got out early, and I still had another 2 years to go. And we stayed in touch, and she brought her girls back to East Texas, to Ponte, Texas. And I stayed in Germany with Michelle. And it was hard being a single parent. My alcohol was really taking off. And I was, you know, but I was in shape, you know. I would run every day and work out and drink at night. It was kind of like a way of life in the military. Well, I had 10 years in, and I got back, I flew back to Texas, and I picked up Stacy and Megan, and Heather, and Michelle, and we went back to San Diego. And I got out of the regular Army, and I joined the California National Guard. And I took a full-time position on the border, building roads and running dozers and scrapers and stuff like that. And there was always a bottle somewhere close. And I had an Article 15 for drinking. Could have been a sergeant major, but my alcohol always had problems. Back up a little bit. I was in Germany, and I hopped over a military fence, and the MPs came at me and got me for aggravated assault on military police. I beat up one of the MPs, and I was just a train wreck. It was time to get out. I got out, and my drugs and alcohol kicked in pretty hard then. My mother got sick with cancer. And me and my mother were very close. My mother would speak to me in Italian. You know, there was a lot of Italian spoken at the house. I don't remember a lot of it now, but my wife left me. She took her girls and moved back to Texas. And I was pretty bad shape. I walked up on, if you know San Diego, there's a big bridge up there called Suicide Bridge, likely named. And I started walking up there, and I was just curious. I was up for a couple of days doing drugs. And I don't know why I didn't jump. I guess I was scared. My life was just totally wrecked. And I said, you know what? I miss my wife. And I called her and I said, can we get back together? And she took me. I drove to Texas. March of 98. I'm probably missing a lot of this stuff there, but it doesn't matter. It's kind of hard to talk about it all because there's a lot of wasted years. You know, I got a 50-year drinking and drugging career, and I'm still alive by the grace of God. So I get to Texas, and I wasn't even at Grandma's house yet where the kids and everybody was waiting. Michelle stayed back in San Diego with her mother, Annie. I bumped into a guy at a beer store. I was buying beer, and I hadn't even got to my wife yet. I had a Ryder truck full of furniture, and I had a brand new pickup on the back end. And I asked them if they were hiring, and they hired me the next day as an operator. And I've been with this company for 24 years. My drinking and drugging picked up again. It lasted years and years. And my wife is just, I don't know how come she's still here, but she stayed. The turning point was 2013. I was pretty bad shape. I raised my hand. I went to HR with the company and told them I had a drinking and drug problem, which they were ready to fire me anyway. Well, they said, well, you came forward. They couldn't touch me or fire me. So I went to a treatment center for a week and then to an outpatient program. And then I started going to AA in Jacksonville, Texas, where I met a man named Ricky Russell. After 30 days, I was reinstated back in my position at work as just a foreman. And that went on, and I did real well. 2014 and 15, I stayed sober for about 5 months, and I just dropped out. It wasn't working for me. It wasn't working for me at all. And the thing too is that when my mother died in 97, I remember sitting on the floor and just cursing God. I couldn't understand why she was gone. I mean, I cursed him. I wanted nothing to do with him. You know, and I just, the way I lived my life, I was in bad shape. I was, you know, I had girlfriends in every town. My wife knew about it. I don't know why she stayed. I still don't know why. And so I left God and I got on with it because I figured I could handle this myself. Well, last May 19th, which is my birthday, I got a phone call from my cousin in New York wishing me a happy birthday. And I was hungover from the night before. And he said to me, Johnny, happy birthday to you. And he said, I'm going for a run. And this is what kicked in this whole thing. He just called me and he went for a run and he dropped dead of a heart attack. And his mother called me up screaming. And I just said, I need some help. I got to go back to AA. My wife said, if you don't go back to AA, I'm leaving you forever. I'm going to take everything from you, and you can live in the street. I don't care. And I went, and she was smart enough to tell me to go because I was doing good for those 5 months in 2013. She saw a change in me. But I never had the spiritual connection. Never had it in AA. And a couple times I'd drip in and out of there now and then. Go in there drunk, you know, and hide it pretty well. But May 19th, I walked in the rooms and I started. I knew it, and you know, in my life, I've always knew what the right road was. I always knew what the path was. I always knew the right thing to do and how to act and be right. But I didn't take it. Without exception, I knew the right way. But I didn't take it because it's too damn hard. It's too hard to live an alcohol-free and drug-free life. For me, it was. Now I'm 64 years old. And I come in the rooms and I met a nice lady in group at Alpha. And I was just starting out in this, and we had some lunches. And the old flirtatious, cheating ideas were coming in my head, or women in AA. And she told me one day, and I'll never forget this. She said, John, listen, you're not serious about this program. You're just bullshit. She goes, if you can't be serious with this, then don't you ever call me or talk to me or send me a text or nothing, ever again. And that was you, Pamela. And I'll tell you what, I was like slapped in the face with my own bullshit. I was like, wow, she saw right through me. So I got serious and I found me a sponsor that I already knew from 2013. His name is Russell. Russell G. Groshen. No, I shouldn't say that. Anonymous. But he took me under his wing. And I was scared to ask him because he's so smart. It was like he was like a Gary Kincaid and Ricky Russell put together. You know, he had a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge, and he had a lot of answers. He had the answers to whatever I was going through, because I was driven by fear. I mean, I learned today, you know, I don't want the fear to drive me anymore in my life. So I started the steps, and at first, you know, I admitted, I came to believe, and I made a decision. When I made that decision on that third step and started writing stuff down, pages of all this sick, slimy crap and all this stuff I've done to people in my life, I don't, you know, I don't even know how I survived. And then as a husband, so I got further. And then the fourth step was finished. And then I had to tell this man. And he was setting me up with a priest. He said, John, I got, if you don't want to do your fifth step, you got a lot of slime, you know, because it was in my fourth step. He said, you don't want to tell everything. And I got down and dirty with him. And it was some sick, dirty stuff. And then something happened. It's like I was backpacking. I had 60, 70 pounds on, and I was hiking through the Alaska wilderness. And I had just got done 17-mile hike, and I took that backpack off. And you feel like you're kind of floating. You know that feeling you get when you get off a bicycle run, or you just stop and you take a breath. And all of a sudden I had this big relief. Then I got excited. Something was happening. So that first 2 months of my sobriety, you know, I was on fire, but there was something missing. I don't know what it was, because I told you my spiritual side, I never made amends with the Lord because I cussed him out in 98. I cussed him out. So one day I took a shower and I was combing my hair and I was looking in the mirror, and it happened. It happened. It's what drives me every day. I had this spiritual experience, and I'll tell you about it. I was looking in the mirror at my face, and I was combing my hair. And I was like, damn, you're looking pretty good today. You don't have all the bags, and you got 2 months of sobriety and feel good and energetic. And then it happened. I looked in the mirror and there was a reflection, but it wasn't me at 64. It was me at about 14. And I had no facial hair. I had hair down my shoulders. And I was just smiling at myself. And there was this voice in my head, or thought, that said, there you are. And this isn't a matter of a second, but it seemed like it was for 30 minutes. There you are. Now you know I have never left you. I have always been with you. And we can do this. I've never left you. I've been with you this whole time. And there you are, drug, alcohol, and a virgin, free. And you're free now. You can do this and you can help others. And I went to my knees, and I swear, I could hear things I didn't hear, birds, and there was just this music, and there was this feeling in my chest. And I'm telling you, if that ain't what they're talking about, that's it, okay? That's it, man. So I drive on with that thought daily. Ugh, damn it. So time went on, the steps kept going, and I was making every meeting I could make. Midland, Texas right now, and I'm going to make a 7 o'clock meeting tonight over here at Basic Group, see my West Texas friends. But then I slipped up a couple of months into it. My wife is disabled, and I smoked a little pot, and it was wrong to do that. So I restarted again. But the people that I've surrounded myself with said, it's okay. It's okay. I know it's hard for you, John, but it's okay. We love you. And that's what keeps me going. These friends, I travel all over the state. I go to groups all over the place because I enjoy seeing people that are just like me. There's 3 or 4 of you I've talked to today that are looking at me right now. And that's the way I roll. I call people. I'm not scared of the phone because when I hear your voices, it reminds me what beautiful thing I'm part of. Just to hear your voice, whether it's for 30 seconds, it doesn't matter. I hear your voice or I see your texts, and I know you're there. You care about me. And then and then something happened a couple of weeks back. I got diagnosed with cancer. A big tumor sitting on my left kidney. And I got out of that doctor's office and I was just bawling like a little baby. What did I do? I did what you told me to do. I called my sponsor. I didn't call my wife. I didn't call anybody. I called my sponsor. And he said to me, get up here right now to my house. And it was pouring rain. I drove up there and he says, come here. He says, first, give me a big hug. And he gave me one. And we didn't let go of each other for a little while. We just hugged me. And he said, you see that wheelchair over there? I said, yes, sir. He said, 20 years ago, that was my wheelchair because I had cirrhosis of the liver. And he goes, and my doctor told me, your doctor didn't tell you to prepare for the worst and get all your personal affairs together. My doctor told me to get all my personal affairs together because you're going to die. You got cirrhosis of the liver. And I did. I got my will. He said I got everything in order. And then the miracle happened. Doctor called me up and said, we found a liver for you. Somebody donated one. It's an American Indian. He got the liver and he says, and I've helped people for 20 years and God's got me helping you. So you quit that wine and give me a hand here. I got some sausage to make. And that's the way it was. And I was relieved of that. Lately, I've got a few things. I call you guys. Gary, Pam, David, I had a nightmare last night that I'm buried in tumors. I got to get a CAT scan next week. And I hope, but they're going to take it out on March 24th. And that's where I am at today. I tried to do the best with my Reader's Digest version. But I have found, my style of sharing this stuff is I'm a people person. Russ tells me every day, you are a people person. You want to make people happy and make people laugh, blah, blah, blah. And I said, Russ, what do you want me to do? Change? I can't change. He goes, no, John, I'm just like you. And we just laugh. The fellowship I have gotten here, Jacqueline, Pamela, David, Ezra, Belinda, Gary, Rosie, you complete me. This is my life now. Until they throw dirt on me, this is it, man. These are tears of joy, okay? These are tears of joy. I'm a little scared. I want my kidney. Don't take my kidney, but I guess they got to take it because they're telling me so. They're professionals. I'm not. But, there's nothing else more I can say. I think I'm about finished. And I'm going to go meet my buddies over there at the Basin Group. I hate to leave this, but I promised them I'd be there. And there's a couple of guys that I don't get to see much. I talk to them. And, and my friends Gary and Ricky, they hooked me up with all these people out here in West Texas. And I love it out here. it's, I can drive down the country roads and not see a damn car for 15, 20 minutes. You know, and I see a lot of deer. I pull over and I look at them. I look at life different now. You know, and this is God's way. This is what He's got for me, John Charles Ellis. You know, I don't have my mother and father now. I'll tell you something. I'm going to tell you one more thing before I go. I'm wanting to show you this. I have 3 grandchildren now, and they are the most precious things ever. I don't know if you can see that, but when you got something like that, Wyatt, John, little angel like that, y'all can see that? You know, you got stuff like that to come home to. That's what it's all about, man. The children, man, the children. You know, and you got friends like this, you know, that you can just be around. You got little twin baby boys. When they see me, they come running. Okay, they're twin little boys. They see me and they run, and when I leave, they cry and stomp their little feet. When they were born, I went to the hospital drunk, and my daughters told me, Dad, if you don't come around drinking, you will never see these children. And that hurt. So I'm going to tell you, thank you so much for listening. I know I probably talked too much, but let fear drive you. I learned that today. I learned something new every day from these nobles, these Davids and Garys and Rickies. I learned something every day. Ezra too. I love y'all and thank you for my sobriety.
Well, thank you, John. That was awesome.